Adrian Saville. You are the investment lead at Cannon Asset Managers. Is that correct?
I'm the founder of the business. I was the investment lead. The investment decisions are now run by Samantha Stein, who's my chief investment officer and has been for a number of years.
Okay. From an investment manager's point of view, give us a rundown, bearing in mind this will probably be listened to by people overseas as well. Give us a sort of a 2-minute overview of your impression. What's happening in South Africa at the moment? From an investment point of view and from a business point of view.
So from an investment perspective, I think investing has two sort of primary components. The one is risk, and investment decisions have to start with a consideration of risk. No amount of brilliance recovers you from zero. And then, once you've got your arms around risk, the flip side of which is the prospect or the opportunity, you can then throw valuation into the mix. And South Africa certainly has aspects of risk that I think are concerning, and they give us perhaps Brazilian shape rather than Venezuelan shape.
Just explain what you mean by that. I mean,
the country
not quite as bad as Venezuela.
Yeah. So the country is stuttering, and in places stumbling. It is by no means the sky is falling on our head, which I think is the way some people interpret stressed environments. So it's hard yards. Economic growth is missing. Unemployment is very elevated. There's policy instability or uncertainty, but the institutions are strong. The economic and business fabric is robust, and if you just take the economic growth numbers reported yesterday, there are elements of silver lining starting to emerge under the Ramaphosa administration.
Right, so there was 3.1% growth for the second quarter of the year. As against a 3% drop in the first quarter.
Yeah,
so it's a hell of a turnaround.
Well, we've squared off, minus 3, plus 3, more or less square for the year.
And I think the reason for the drop in the first quarter was we had power outages because of problems in Eskom. Without those power outages, things are humming along quite okay.
Helped in part by more buoyant commodity prices, and if you look at what iron ore, gold, platinum prices have done recently, coal, that's likely to extend into the third quarter, and it points, I think, a slightly brighter picture, by no means rosy, but a slightly brighter picture. And then that electricity stability that you refer to, that feeds manufacturing and mining. And then from a valuation perspective, South African assets, I think, are extremely attractively priced, notwithstanding the dull economic landscape.
Well, I think the only sector that's doing reasonably well at the moment is mining.
From a earnings perspective, yes. Having said that, there are parts of the economy that they may not be growing quickly, but they're holding up exceptionally well. Banks are a great case in point, where the return on assets, return on equities, relative to the valuation, to our mind, make for absolutely compelling investment cases.
Right. And I mean, there are some sort of individual success stories in South Africa. Private education is growing, although the share prices have been dropping, but the earnings growth has been quite impressive.
So if you take a business like Advotech is a great case in point, earnings are holding up reasonably well. The market growth potential is extraordinary, and the valuations are really undemanding. So if you can put all of that into context, I think a strong case can be made for South Africa. Along with others in the global setting, China looks incredibly attractively priced. You can buy Huawei at half the multiples of Apple, and the products are as good, enjoying far faster growth. And by contrast, I think the United States looks quite scary from a valuation perspective, as do German bonds.
Final question. Tito Mboweni, our finance minister, issued a growth document. This document that's going to get growth going again and create jobs in South Africa. What do you think of it? And are you going to comment on it? And if you are, what are you going to comment? What are you going to suggest?
We've actually put out, Canon Asset Managers has actually put out a very brief sort of cover note on the 77-pager, and that's gone to our clients today. And in short, I think it's the best document to come out of Treasury in a decade. It is pragmatic, it's level-headed.
Better than all the previous documents that they've given us.
Well, it's thinner to start with, right?
Right, that's right.
So it's
What is that,
environmentally friendly.
20 pages or 10
77 pages.
77 pages.
Versus the 400 odd, which is the NDP. And that's not to sort of diss the NDP. In many ways, this jigsaw's with the NDP, but it takes the NDP from 400 pages of hard to imagine how this is implemented to pragmatic, experimental, evidence-led, and to my mind, sort of very sensible. What I particularly like is that the ideas are implementable and there's time frames around them. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, and he's put tourism top of the list there. That is the low-hanging fruit.
There's some
except for the
easy wins.
xenophobic attacks that we've been having the last few
Absolutely
days, which
tragic.
is own goal.
Absolutely tragic.
Yeah.
So, there are some easy wins. Tourism is one, Spectrum is another.
Yeah.
And sort out each of those, and you've comfortably added a percent.
You're referring, of course, to the sale of the public. What do they call
spectrum.
it? What? Digital spectrum. Yeah. Okay. Adrian Saville, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.